Welcome back from the weekend, and what a weekend it was indeed. We're going to unpack it for you right here on the show, our review show, where Dynamos scored a dramatic equalizer against Yadah in its relegation fight.
Evans Rusike with a last gasp chance for Yadah! Yadah right on the stroke of stoppage time. Dynamos, oh my! Issakar Mohammed! 2 goals in stoppage time. They refuse to die.
The Springboks asserted their dominance with comeback win over France.
Here it comes for Lebok. Soft little touch for Sancha Feinberg and Kabasulu. He's got another one. What an extraordinary comeback in this test match. Full time in Paris. It's France 17, South Africa 32.
And Manchester City's Jeremy Doku, he shone as the citizens thumped Liverpool.
Doku, such quick feet. Oh, that's outstanding! It's incredible from Jeremy Doku. Back-to-back Premier League wins for City. Manchester City 3, Liverpool 0.
The team is in the studio. That's Mike Madoda, Chris Meadsy, our producer, Sean Tafirinika. My name is Barry Menandi. Mikey, shucks, that Doku goal. That was a nail in the coffin, wasn't
What
it?
a hit. And he had a good game.
Yeah,
he had a good
fantastic
game.
game.
Torrid game for the young Liverpool fullback,
Yes, 100%.
Conor Bradley.
Conor Bradley,
Just a few days after he had actually put Vinicius Jr. in his pocket.
Yeah.
But he had no answers for Doku.
answers
What a
whatsoever.
phenomenal performance from the player.
Absolutely phenomenal performance. Chris, the Springboks, they did what needed to be done. Down to 14 men.
Yeah.
Okay. Before the half, and I think all of us thought, well, that's
Job
it.
done.
Yeah,
Job done.
pretty much.
But my goodness, they rallied in that second.
Yeah, definitely. And what a distinct, I think, fight back we saw there. I think a little bit more to play for as well. Siya Kolisi getting that 100th test. So big moment for him as captain. So the Springboks did what the Springboks have been doing.
What was your moment of the weekend? 0772 168 045. Let us know on our WhatsApp platform and let us know your thoughts. Dynamos, the commentator said it appropriately. They refuse to die.
The Power Play.
All right, Mel C. Oh, she calls herself Melanie C. I think she's got to be a little more
That's a
respectful.
nothing track, by the way.
It's an absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
track.
that's
Here's
a
the
nothing
thing.
track.
She's aiming at the gym market. So she's talking about, stretches and all sorts. So she's aiming at the gym market. She thinks she can penetrate the gym market. Melanie C. with the track Sweat, getting us off to a decent start, not a flyer.
Melanie C is which one? Mel
Mel
B
C.
is the black Chiquita,
Yeah.
the hot one.
Yeah.
Yes, the one that was
Sporty
once. I think she
Spice
once hooked
is
up with
Mel C.
Eddie Murphy.
Yes, she
Yes,
did.
Mel
Yes,
B.
she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
Mel C is Sporty Spice.
Yeah, Sporty
Okay.
Spice.
That's why she's singing about gym stuff.
Right.
Anyway, we want to talk about the Casalaga Premier Soccer League, and Dynamos coach Kelvin Kaindu says his side wasted chances as DeMbare will have to fight for survival on the final day of the season after rescuing a 1-1 draw in a dramatic fashion against Yadah in a thrilling encounter at Ngoni Stadium in Norton. Now, the Harare Giants were hoping for a win that would have guaranteed their safety with a game to spare, but it was them who ultimately heaved a sigh of relief after a last gasp equalizer saved them from a devastating defeat. Let's hear from KK, Kelvin Kaindu.
I looked at the time and I thought, what a time to concede. Are we able to come back? But I saw the character, I saw the determination. Last corner, we pushed the fullback to go forward. His last cross ended in the goal. It shows that slowly we are developing the character, the will, and also the mentality for us to keep on pushing. It's unfortunate we dropped 2 points, but a point for us now is better than nothing. Yeah, we thought this would wrap up, but we thank God for the point. I'm sure we are still a bit safe, but it could have been better for us to get maximum points today. But going back home with a point is better than nothing. We look forward again to the last game. We still remain unbeaten, and hopefully we can maintain that unbeaten run.
The Miracle Boys, as Yadah are called, sharing the spoils with the Glamour Boys, but it's the miracle of Kaindu that seemed to prevail, even though it ended in a stalemate, Mike, because they remain unbeaten and with a big shout to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got fate in their own hands. They take it to the final match day in a couple of weeks' time against FC Platinum. Won't be an easy fixture.
No, it won't.
But I think this is a very important point. Important point because Dynamos really didn't play well. And if you see the chances that Yadah actually fashioned out, especially in the early stages of the second half, they could have actually buried this game. 2-3 really good chances that Yadah missed, and they'll be left kicking themselves because having taken the lead, they failed to protect that lead for just a couple of minutes. All they needed to do was see it out for the next 2 minutes, and they would have actually put themselves right there on the cusp of survival and sent Dynamos back to Harare thinking about survival. But also to note in this game, I think we begin to see the importance of Dynamo's captain Emmanuel Jalai to this outfit. Just from an attacking sense, there really wasn't any threat whatsoever down that right flank where Jalai usually is able to bomb down that flank, provide some crosses and contribute in the build-up play. He was missing, and then defensively as well, they lacked that tenacity. If you take a look at where the goal came from,
it came from his side.
they came from the side that normally would be occupied by Emmanuel Jalai. So he's very important to everything that Dynamos does. And I think there must be every effort made by Dynamos to ensure that if they survive, they hold on to Emmanuel Jalai. Because if they lose a player like him, just in terms of ability and in terms of leadership, Dynamos will really have a big rebuilding job on their hands.
He'll be hard to replace. Well, he's currently away with the national team, and so they hope that he'll be wrapped up in cotton wool and won't return with any injury. They'll sorely need him for that game against FC Platinum, the last game of the season. Yadah themselves have left themselves with quite some work to survive, but it's the Dynamo story I think everybody is keen on. And Mike says that they've got faith in their own hands simply because at the moment, as it stands, if COVID starts tomorrow, Dynamos are outside the relegation place.
Yeah, definitely. And they've really, I think, surprised a lot of people, myself included, just in terms of the way they've conducted themselves.
Yourself especially.
Myself especially, to come out of that relegation zone, because Dynamos was sitting literally in 17th position. They were a shoe-in for relegation, and we had sort of written them off. I think I was captain of that team, actually. And when you take a look at the way they've conducted themselves and managed to string along the wins and the draws up until this point, I think it takes a lot of just character on the part of the players, but also I think a very definite technical pathway. I think just in terms of what Kelvin Kaindu's managed to do with this team, with the same group of players, I think he's managed to extract quite a lot, and they've definitely got fate in their own hands, and sitting in 13th at the moment, they're shoo-in for survival, and one hopes that it'll be a different season and we'll see a sort of regeneration of Dynamos after this sort of threat with the drop down to Division 1.
Unless something
they
horrendous
can't afford to
happens.
lose, though.
Yeah, they can't afford to lose.
I know we speak glowingly of Dynamos
they can't
because of
afford
their
to lose.
position, which is 13th, but they're just 3 points
Yeah.
above the last, or should I say, in fact, they're just 3 points away from Yadah
Yeah.
and just a point above the relegation thing. What worries me about Dynamos, and I'm not saying that they will be relegated, but it's their goal difference. Their goal difference means that they must play for something on the final day. Why I say that is because they got exactly the same goal difference as Yadah, for example. If Yadah managed to win by a goal on the final match day,
And Dynamos
lose, it means Yadah will be above Dynamos.
Yeah.
Just simply that, because
And
of that
Dynamos
goal
will go
difference,
down.
because that goal difference is atrocious.
Yeah.
And so Yadah will be looking at FC Platinum and thinking to themselves, can you do us a favor? Can you get all 3 points against Dynamos? Now, good thing is the FC Platinum, or good thing for Dynamos fans, the FC Platinum hasn't been playing well. They've been very,
haven't,
off late, not great.
Yeah.
But they still remain a dangerous side, a side that can get a win versus Dynamos. So I think Dynamos, for me, the safe thing is to go all out and try and get that point. That point, they have to get the point. Just to ensure that, you know what, there is no asking, hey, what are the results? What's happening elsewhere? Just make sure that you don't lose. Similarly as well, Highlanders and Chicken Inn, they play each other. Could there be a gentleman's handshake
For a stalemate?
in that game?
Yeah.
Because both know that if they draw, they survive.
They survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 point does it.
Yeah, 1 point does it for those two teams. So it's interesting.
I suspect they'll shake on it.
I think they'll shake on
Yeah.
it.
It makes sense.
They'll shake on it.
Yeah.
It makes sense because why take the risk?
Why
Yeah.
not take the risk? Yeah. So that's the way that it stands, and that's the area of the league table where we have an interest, because 9 teams are in, 8 teams now are in the relegation mix, and it'll take a point for many of the teams on 38 points to survive. Those on 38 points are Highlanders, Chicken Inn, Manica Diamonds, and Dynamos. Beneath them is Triangle, hovering just above the relegation places on 37 points. Same amount of points as Bikita, who occupy the last relegation place, which is 37. And then Green Fuel on 36, with Yadah on 35. And then Kwekwe United, long cut adrift. They are sitting on their 10 points. And they are ruthlessly consistent. 5 games played, 5 losses.
Yeah, 5 defeats.
100%.
So apparently they've had more coaches than they've had wins in the Premier League this season.
Wow.
Chris.
That is
just
a
the one-
shocking stat.
just the one win.
cruel.
Just the one win
The one
and
win.
4 coaches throughout
Wow.
the
Yeah.
season this season.
Oh, well, Mike, I just need a quick comment from you.
Yeah.
Yadah go to Wadzanai.
Against Simba Bora.
Simba Bora.
Not easy.
Not easy.
Not easy, depending on which side Joe Lupatla
Wakes up.
puts out.
Yeah.
Because look, he's at that stage of the season. I think Simba Bora, where you might be tempted to give some of the fringe players
A run, yeah.
a run out. Some of the players that haven't had game time over the course of the season. That might play into Yadah's hands.
Yeah.
Because look, they've
No
got
wins
nothing,
in 5.
They've
for
got nothing to
Simba.
play for.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the tussle to finish second above Moors, but does it really
Well,
matter?
it doesn't really
It
matter.
doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
The title has been lost. Scotland are champions, and that's what really matters. So, depending on what side Joe Lupatla puts out, if he puts out his strong side, his best players, then I think Simba Bora will beat Yadah.
Yo, and then Yadah will be gone.
Yeah.
gone.
If Simba Bora put out your Ziwochas, your Makunikes, if those players play, the regulars, they should be able to beat Yadah at home. They should be able to.
Shucks, that'll be insane. Anyway, we'll all watch it unfold immediately after the international break. That's a week on Saturday, I think it is, that the league will conclude. All teams playing 3 p.m. possibly on the Saturday to finish this year's season. A quick Division 1 update. Ngama Football Club have written a new chapter in Mount Darwin sporting history after being crowned Northern Region Division 1 champions, securing promotion to the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League for the first time in a dramatic season finale. Agama thrashed FC Oden 4-0 in Banket, overtaking long-time leaders Ngombe Aora, who suffered a 1-0 defeat at the hands of Moors under-19 at Ngoni Stadium on the final day. This came as a surprise for many people, because everybody thought that Ngombe Aora would see it out. They've been leaders for so long. They've led the race, and now it was just to get past that final hurdle.
Yeah, unfortunately the rivalry continues because
between Moors and
between Moors and Scottish sides, let's put it that
Right.
way. I think they have similar leadership, and when you just take a look at this particular situation, I think a bit of a grudge match here, and Moors coming to that, just one goal to make the difference, I think huge. I think it's unfortunate for Ngombe Aora, like you're saying, they led for large parts of that season. Everyone thought they were shoo-in, but Moors played absolute spoilers for this one.
Mike, you're also an advocate for spreading the game. You and Alois, Mount Darwin is in the mix now. If they set up a stadium there that's homologated.
I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. I
Yeah.
mean, we've been unable to set up stadiums that can be homologated
Fair.
in Harare.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think it's good to see them back. They've got your Balakasis, players like that.
Oh, you mean the players who've been
some
in
of
the league,
these
okay.
veteran players as a club. They'll need to do a lot of building on and off the field of play
Yeah.
in order for them to be competitive, because this is very different from your Simba Boras, your Scotlands, who came in well heeled and willing to spend. Agama, we do hear that they do have some
They've got some
financial
money,
stability, but are they spenders?
Yeah,
That's the question. Are they spenders? Are they willing to shop Are they willing to raise their salaries, their wage bill? Are they willing as well to invest in youth? So that you're not just getting the old faddy-daddies because you're likely to be relegated if you go down that road, but invest in some of the best players in the country. Bring in some youth, some of the younger players, mid-20s, experienced players who can do it. And let's see if those players find Mount Darwin an attractive place to live in.
Fair. Let's see if they do. I want to stay with you very quickly. A quick comment on the teams that have been promoted. FC Hunters from the Eastern region, young coach, very exciting story that went out of Marondera. Hard Rock from the Central region, they built a stadium, so it was hard to see them not get promoted. And then the Noisy Boys from the South, Blaya Chiefs, they're back. Those are the 4 teams that have been promoted. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the Chiefs, obviously, they walked the talk. They promised they'd be back. They're back. And it was a good season. I think in all the leagues, it really was a good season because nothing was decided very early.
Yeah.
Well, our Chiefs, I think, got a very good run for their money from Wange. And so that was good for the South. Then you had Hunters, of course, involved in that scrap with Mashingo. They eventually edged it and won themselves promotion. Hard Rock as well. We all know the stories coming out of the Central region. Sheersham pushing them all the way. And then this one, which was decided just this past weekend, Agama pipping Ngombeaora at the post. So, listen, I think that one is going to hurt. It's going to sting for Ngombeaora because they look like they were a club primed for the Premier League. And now they're going to have to go back into the Northern region, Division 1. Very difficult place, by the way. And you know,
think?
Yeah, very difficult place. Very difficult place. So they're going to have to give it a stab one more time. But I think it's good. There's quality there. I just hope, obviously, again, that some of these clubs being promoted are going to give youth a chance. That's what I'd like to see. Agreed. I think there's too much in the way of recycling old players, players that they say have got a premiership experience.
Moores has shown the way. That it can be done. Go with the players that got you promotion. All right, let's give you a local sports news roundup with Chris.
I listen to my radio. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Start off with some golf news. Zimbabwean golf star Karen Vincent finished tied on 18th at Muay Singapore Open with a total of 12 under 267. Vincent finished 7 shots behind eventual winner Yosuke Asaji, who became the first Japanese player in 49 years to win the Singapore Open. In cricket news, Zimbabwe Cricket has announced a 15-man squad for the upcoming T20 International Tri-Series in Pakistan, also featuring Sri Lanka as part of the team's build-up to next year's ICC Men's T20 World Cup. The only change from the squad that recently faced Afghanistan at home sees pace spearhead Blessing Zarabani miss out due to a back injury, with Newman Nyamuri coming in as his replacement. To finish off with some football news, the local band of Warriors left the country yesterday for Saudi Arabia, where they'll link up with their foreign-based colleagues ahead of their friendly games against Algeria and Qatar. Zimbabwe face Algeria on Thursday before they play Qatar 3 days later in Jeddah. This is part of the Warriors' preparation for the Africa Cup of Nations next month. The 2 international friendlies will also give new coach Mario Marinica a chance to assess his arsenal as he bids to take Zimbabwe to the second round at the AFCON for the first time ever.
Ready to stand out in March?
National with all sports news. A very brief report out of the world of rugby, where South Africa, the Springboks, underlined the status of the world's leading side as they beat France 32-17 in Paris, despite Luc de Jager's first half red card. South Africa coach Rassie Erasmus hailed his players for digging in and getting the win, playing in front of a hostile Stade de France.
Playing here, and again the atmosphere, I think the French can be so proud of their supporters, and it was for us fun. It was intimidating, but luckily we've been through this in 2022 and 2018 or 19 and in 2023. So the experience of the players showed halftime. I wouldn't say calmness. There was definitely not calmness, but making plans, and mostly the assistant coaches and the players. And unfortunately, some guys had to sacrifice in the 100th test match, only playing a half. So, all credit to the whole group.
Z.
Right, and of course the Springboks there with a very dominant win at the end versus France, but it started off also well, Barry, for the French. ran out to an early lead. It was 15 versus 15 at that time. And then South Africa, the lock, Lou Diaga with, I know the pundits on South Africa and all sorts have tried to justify it. Absolutely deplorable. I mean, that's a straight red card, no mitigation, nothing whatsoever. And they can try and wheel out some Frenchman, apparently, that they've got on Supersport nowadays. Very irritating fella. But at least just interpret the rules. He didn't wrap his hand around the guy. He went to the shoulder. His hand was actually behind him. And so they go down. And everyone expects, because France at that time looked like they were actually on top of the situation, for the Springboks to fold. But what unfolded was anything but that. South Africa galvanized and they got themselves to victory.
They galvanized. I certainly didn't expect it. I expected that in the second half that the French would run away with it.
Wear them down.
With 14, find the spaces and all sorts. But it's almost as if the Springboks found a second wind, that they had the extra man within themselves. And so I think great effort by the Springboks. But the French will kick themselves. They'll know that they left one on the green grass, and they should have done a lot better. Also, they shouldn't have changed their tactics in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that to try to do, Chris, was to go open and expansive. I think obviously tempted by the space they thought they had. They hadn't banked on the structure and the organization of the Springboks, especially under Rassie Erasmus. He knows how to organize a side.
Yes, definitely. And they were also a little bit ill-disciplined. And I think that's one of the things that they'll rue when they look back on this game, is they weren't necessarily able to continue that discipline. I think that they had managed to start off in the first half. So unfortunately, that was their undoing, and dominating a lot of the possession and not getting anything on the scoreboard, I think is, it's a crying shame. But look, the Springboks did what they have been doing, I think, for many, many months now.
And at the time when they were looking to wrest a bit of momentum back towards the end of the game, they had one of their players then sent off, obviously speaking into what Chris was talking about about in terms of discipline. And that effectively meant that they snuffed out any hopes of a comeback, because that man advantage was gone.
Was lost. And any time that it was equal on the field, so 14 versus 14, you got to say to yourself that the Southern Hemisphere team always had the advantage. Even when they got out to that very good start, the crowd was phenomenal. I know Rassie mentioned it as well. It was loud. They were backing their boys, but you could see that the world champions had just that control, that measure of the ability to kick on. So 14 versus 14. I'm afraid the fat lady had cleared her throat and done her bit.
All right, let's give you the other results from the November International Test. Wales thumped by Argentina 52-28. Very impressive by the Pumas. And of course, Wales, their woeful season continues. Australia were beaten by Italy 26-19 in the surprise result of the weekend, whilst England eventually managed to overpower Fiji 38-18. The first half was very even Stevens between that game. The All Blacks raced out to a very convincing 17-0 lead, but were picked back by the Scots, but eventually managed to edge them out 25-17. Barry, the All Blacks, the indiscipline coming back. I think they had 3 yellow cards in this game. 30 minutes played, a man down. At this level of rugby means that, they dodged a bullet here.
They certainly did. You keep that going, you face the better sides, you get hurt, you lose games. And that's why we've got a record where in a year where we are not used to seeing L's on the record of New Zealand, you've got a few L's. And I think that Scott Robertson needs to really sort out that discipline, get it in check, because this is a good side. Let's make no mistake, there's a good All Black side that, if disciplined, can beat anyone.
Yeah, and I think that they also need to just remind themselves that they lost the last World Cup because of indiscipline.
Ill discipline.
Yeah, that's the reason why they lost. They played 60 minutes of the World Cup final, a man down, and lost by a point. Had they actually kept 50 men on the park, they would have been world champions.
Against the South Africa side that everybody was oohing and eyeing about.
Yeah, Japan 41-10 losers versus Ireland. Ireland proving, of course, that they were too good for the Japanese in that game. Let's take you around the world in 60.
Australia, where India claimed a 2-1 win in the 5-match of the T20 International Series against Australia after the final match was abandoned due to rain after just 4.5 overs in Brisbane on Saturday. In Saudi Arabia, Elena Rybakina continued her resurgence by winning the WTA Tour Finals 6-3, 7-6 in Riyadh against tennis world number 1 Ariana Sabalenka as the Kazakhstani claimed her biggest title since Wimbledon in 2022. In news from the United States, Karl Anthony Towns posted another double-double for the host New York Knicks, who remained perfect at home in the NBA with a wire-to-wire 134-98 win over the Brooklyn Nets. It's touchdown in Brazil when Lando Norris won a thrilling Sao Paulo Grand Prix last night as he superbly controlled the race from pole position to complete a perfect weekend, in which he also won Saturday's sprint at Interlagos to extend his title race lead over his McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri to 24 points with 3 rounds remaining. We're going to talk more about that on tomorrow's show. It's the Formula One Report, brought to you by Zimoco.